Well, we've talked a little about it then, but what's kind of the process of getting a part to recording the lines? What's kind of the whole process that you go through for
Yeah,
each character?
yeah. I mean, in simple terms, we have wonderful, hardworking agents out here. I've got an incredible agency in the UK, in London as well, and they field us opportunities. When we get the script, especially if it's obviously character driven, you normally only get a couple of scenes, but the scenes would be polar opposite. Let's just say, for argument's sake, there's a conflict scene and then there's just a happy-go-lucky scene. So to give you two sort of different scenarios to work with, um, you'll always get a breakdown of the character, age, perhaps a little bit of the background, sometimes an image, not always. Images, um, are useful to sort of physicalize the character as well. And then basically it's reading through the whole thing, reading through the scene, understanding it, not getting too much in your head, just understanding the scene and understanding what the other characters are doing and what your need is and what your intention. And then the voice kind of organically happens. Like very rarely will you just jump and go, oh my gosh, I know the voice for this. You kind of just get a grasp of what the world is, what the particular scene is, and what your character wants out of it. Um, and as I say, sometimes you'll get more information, sometimes it'll be really bare bones. And so you do your audition and, you kind of hope for the best. And if you get the callback, obviously you're then going into the studio, whether it's DreamWorks or Disney or Warner Brothers. We've been recording, of course, this is my home studio that we're talking from, but normally you would go into the studio to record. And again, that's mainly because of continuity, so that all the actors have the same quality. And of course, they've got much more controlled environments. And sometimes, if it's a video game, you can be at the end of the production adding your voice.
Mm.
So you literally do your voice, and then, like for Call of Duty, 3 months later, the game came out. Or like something like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we came in and we saw very, very rough, what they call animatics, which is a very rough kind of storyboarded sketches of the scene. And then they will often, with animation especially, they will adapt the animation to your performance. So
Right.
if the line was like, oh, we shouldn't go in there. If I did it like that, that would be very different to, oh, we shouldn't go in there, in terms of how the animation looks and how the character looks. So
Mm.
yeah, it's a different process a little bit, but fairly similar, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, one thing that I've always kind of wondered is when do the voice actors actually do the lines? Is it before they
Yeah,
animate? Is it after? So you have to sort of match it to the animation. Whereabouts does it go? Does it
yeah.
vary?
For animation, if you're brought in as the original character, it's always very, very early on. They don't want to spend time finishing an animation, and because there's so much work in it. It's an incredible pool of talented, creative people. So they don't want to spend all the time doing a lovely finished animation and then get your voiceover in and think this doesn't match. So they will literally animate to your performance. As I say, with video games, again, if you're doing motion capture, which is where you're on a motion capture stage covered in dots with a camera hanging above your face, capturing not only your voice performance but also your physical performance.
Mm.
Then again, that is very early on in production. Um, I did an ADR, additional dialogue replacement, for a French animation called Terra Willy, a space sci-fi animation, and we had to dub over a French performance, a French
Mm.
actor. So again, that has its challenges too, because if you translate directly from French, then sometimes the sentence is either shorter or longer,
Yeah.
but the animation is locked in. The animation's already done, it's finished. So you have to then tweak the script, the director does, to fit the mouth moving.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's varying disciplines for each scenario. So but generally with animation, it is very very early on, and they match your performance with their animation, basically.
Yeah, is that a little bit weird for you? You know, if you're doing a performance, then you don't actually get to see much of the product for like
Yeah.
could be years.
Oh, absolutely. People ask a lot. Is it still weird to hear your voice? And I think you get over that very quickly. What is really fantastic is to see the finished production,
Mm.
because, as I say, we will go in, we'll deliver our performance, and then there's a film coming out this year, Marmaduke, which I'm in with Pete Davidson from Saturday Night Live,
Mm.
and some incredible J.K. Simmons is in that, and we recorded that 2 years ago
Mm.
almost, and it's still coming out, and I'm so dying to see it because we saw nothing. We didn't even see any animatics at that stage. It was still storyboarded. So that's as exciting for us to see the finished product as I'm sure it is for people, going to the movies and things.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's a long wait.
Yeah.
Especially as well. I don't know if it affects you much now, but you might think, oh, I can't really remember that, or my voice has changed since then, or anything like that. It's quite
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when you do the Comic Cons and stuff, uh, uh, the fans of whatever it is, your video game or a movie or something, they know it better than you do.
Mhm.
Because remember, we're still working. We did this project a couple of years ago, and they've either played the game 24 hours a day for the last 6 months, or they've just seen the movie 10 times. So they often know, go on, say the line. And you're like, oh gosh, let me just think, what was that?
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Uh, um, so, do you kind of do you like to take every opportunity that's kind of given to you, or every role that's given to you, or are you very sort of picky? Do you prefer to just pick ones that you feel connected to, or enjoy, or like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's basically it. You just nailed it there. It's if you have a connection to it. I have a huge comedy bent that I will always favor something that is more of a comedic role, just because of my background and stuff in stand-up comedy and things. So those roles always speak volumes to me. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, as any actor on screen or voice actor, I think there's got to be some sort of a connection there, because otherwise I think you're going to be working 10 times harder in your performance. Like, for instance, I say the Piney movie, I just saw, when that came in, I just saw this adorable looking Christmas tree, and I just felt like, wow, okay, this is fantastic, I love this, and I just had this instant affinity with this character, and just thrilled to be the voice of Piney. So yeah, I think it's you definitely have a gut instinct, I think, right off the first page.
Yeah. What's would you say is, because I feel like a lot of people when they think of voice acting, they think it's just talking into a mic, but I
Mm,
don't think a lot of people kind of understand how much acting probably goes
yeah,
into it. So how
yeah.
how how much do you think is acting like full on compared to like actual being on screen?
Yeah, great questions. We only have our voice. We can't portray an emotion or a reaction with anything else but our voice, because they're not seeing us. Now, that is down to, of course, the animators as well, but that has to be reflected. We still have to give that look, even
Mm.
though it's not recorded. Um, we still have to fully give that whole performance. It's not just the voice. If you saw us in a booth, you'd probably think we were going mad, the way our arms are waving around and we're physicalizing things. But also, we can't disrupt the recording of the voice. So even if we are throwing our arms around, um, it's still got to be contained to some degree,
Yeah.
because they can't get whoosh sounds on the microphone, or if you're screaming, obviously we have incredibly incredible team of people here and talented audio engineers that adjust the microphones, but still it all has to be, it's almost a technical performance in some degree, but also you have to just be you and be the character as well. So these are things that we have to bear in mind as a voice actor. But I mean, we also have to have this incredible imagination of where we are. We have to build this world around us. And of course, a lot of actors now, especially with, most movies have green screen, blue screen, gray screen, whatever. So they can definitely, I'm sure, have an idea about that too, that, if it's not physically there, it still has to be in your mind because you're acting. So it is. It's a workout still, especially video games.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially for video games. Yeah, because there's a lot more interaction, and you've got to imagine kind of the situations a little bit more as well.
Mm-hmm.